Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Claw and the King podcast. While this dopey idiot's cleaning the microphone, I just want to say thank you all for coming. Solid week in sport. Not for a Man United fan because this is filmed after the Spurs result, but that's life, you know? I've lived with disappointment my entire life in terms of sport. Not in terms of other things, but in terms of sport. But yeah, how have you been?
Yeah, doing well. Obviously, lots to talk about. Life is just so great, you know. It's hard to complain when you got stuff like this to do.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I live for. This weekly thing or fortnightly thing that we do.
It's very difficult to book.
Well, look, I'm a busy man. I'm hard to get a hold of. I just spare up a couple hours every, fortnight that I have because I'm just that busy. I'm just that popular, I'm in that much of a demand, but I need to see him. I need to have a chat. We need to discuss because I miss, the lunchtimes where we would roast each other about different sporting topics. And now we can't.
School lunchtime's underrated.
It is very underrated. I mean, school in general is underrated until you leave.
Yeah, it is. Well, I feel like our experience was just better than most schools, but because we were very privileged.
Don't say that. We can't be having these people know we have money, which we don't. But anyways, yeah, I think school is a bit of a once you leave, once you actually get into the workforce, you're like, ooh, math sound like how you'd be like, oh, I got business, I got to write down notes. I'd be like, mate, I will take an hour of fucking writing down notes right now. That is a bliss. Yeah. That is so peaceful. But yeah, it's interesting how you miss sort of things in life. But anyway, we're not here to reminisce about our glorious school days. We're here to talk about sports. And do you have anything you'd like to kick us off with?
I guess we would start with Prem, obviously. United played this morning. Kicked off last week, the Premier League.
Yeah.
The major storylines, I guess, so far, are United being shit. And City's probably going to win again. So,
well, yeah, look, we'll talk about United for a brief period. Main takeaway from the game is we're so unbalanced. It's scary. And look, I think we haven't signed, we're going to get probably another midfielder, and we haven't had any striker play. Rashford is not a striker, but the midfield seems so unbalanced. Everyone's blaming Casemiro. He's on an island out there. I mean, he is on an absolute island. Bruno and Mason Mount and Casemiro, how anyone would think that would work is beyond me. I don't know why.
It sounds good on paper.
Does it?
They're three great players in their own right.
Well, Mason Mount, I don't think is a great player. But look, I was happy to sign him, but he's a number 10. Bruno's a number 10. They want to go on, push forward, but the problem is when we lose the ball because Anthony does something stupid or Bruno does something stupid or Garnacho does something stupid, Casemiro's dealing with friggin' 4-5 players coming at him at a time. And look, he's 31 years of age. He's more of a, he's a great defensive midfielder, but he doesn't have those legs. I mean, fucking, prime Casemiro doesn't have those legs. So I think that it was a sort of a real problem. And you could see it in the first fixture against Wolves. But yeah, look, I think first half we were solid. We had the better chances. Bruno missed an absolute sitter. The keeper made some good saves. And I thought it was a very open game and still the same concerns I had. However, I thought we were a real, force going forward in terms of creating chances. But yeah, second half we just were so poor. The main poor one was Anthony and Garnacho. And look, I know Garnacho.
How have they jumped Sancho?
That's what everyone's saying. That's what everyone's basically saying. Why is Rashford playing as a striker when he's not one? And he's shocking as a striker. And why is Anthony and Garnacho? Well, Anthony is Ten Hag's favourite. And it was interesting. I was listening to Mark Goldbridge because he's, one of the most... He's a prophet of the modern day. Good old Marky Mark. The potential undoing of Ten Hag could be his picking his favourites. And it was the same with Ollie when he stayed with Maguire, and he stayed with McTominay, and he stayed with Fred. He stayed with his favourites, and it got him fired, essentially. Those players basically got him out of a job. I think it could be a similar road if he continues to stick with Anthony and continues to stick with, Mason Mount, who we just bought. In those positions, they are too wasteful. They are not good enough whatsoever. Mount does not hold any sort of ability in, maintaining possession or having it, trying to dominate a midfield. He does not do that. You know, he's a you know, I don't want to say he's Lingard, but he's of that ilk of number 10, if you know what I mean. He's not a creator or a masterful passer. He's going to make direct runs and he's going to provide goal scoring opportunities. I mean, we already have Bruno. We don't need another guy that can, do that. We need a more controlling midfielder that can dictate tempo, and he's not that. And Anthony today was probably the worst performance I've ever seen. And I've watched Scott McTominay play for Man United. I've watched Harry Maguire. I've never seen a winger.
Well, he's just doing his 360 ball.
No,
rolls.
it wasn't even that. It wasn't even annoying. It was the fact that nothing he did was the right decision. Not a single decision he made was the right decision. He would, when he should have passed it, he ran. When he should have ran, he passed it. And if he passed it, he missed the player. He was absolutely shocking. And he had a one half decent shot that was unlucky not to go in. But the guy was awful. Absolutely awful. Garnacho, look, he's a young kid. He's younger than us. But shocking. Absolutely shocking. The past 2 weeks has been shocking. His cutting edge, he's so wasteful in those positions, especially in the first half. I thought so wasteful. The amount of good ball that he got, but he just couldn't capitalise on it was, frankly, alarming. And then just, the rest of the team, the defence, people are blaming Martinez. I think weren't at the top of their game and haven't been for the start of the season. But I think that's fit. I don't know. We look like we're out of shape. We look like we've been having fucking KFC for the past, 6 weeks, and we haven't started pre-season yet. Those players, the Spurs players, ran around us. They just outworked us. Same with the Wolves game. They outworked us, and it's not acceptable 2 games into the season. This should be when you're ready to go. This should be when you're the fittest, when you're the most sharpest, and they just don't look that at the moment. The one guy that impressed me was Onana. I thought he was really solid. His distribution, his confidence in his distribution, and he made some key saves as well in the game. I thought both keepers performed well, especially in that first half. But yeah, look, it's the second game of the season. We lost 4-0 to Brentford at the second game of the season last year. Is it the same thing with Ten Hag? Is he just trying to figure out how to gel these new players in? We'll see. But it was alarming today.
I mean, on the other side, Spurs looked all right without Kane.
Well, Spurs...
They got money now,
but
right?
again, I don't know how to judge... Look, I want Ange to do well, but it's hard to judge them because Wolves looked really, really good against us. And they're like, well, they're not going to get relegated. But then they got friggin' smacked up by Brighton. So, look, it's a very sort of difficult thing to judge when you're playing our midfield at the moment, how good they actually are. But Maddison I was impressed with again. The midfield of Basuma and Sarr was impressive. The defence was a lot sharper, I felt. And I think Romero helped that. I think obviously he got a head knock in game week 1 right early in the game. And I think that sort of destabilised that defence. But yeah, I thought their goalkeeper was solid. He looked dodgy in game week 1, but he was a lot better today. Made some key saves.
What happened to Lloris?
Oh, he's shit. I mean, he's been shit for the past 3. Just because this Frenchie over
But he
there
was still
thinks
playing last year.
Well, see, the thing is, it was a funny thing, we were talking about FIFA 14, and that was Oscar's prime. That's his basis of knowledge of football,
Pretty
is
much.
FIFA 14. If a player was good in FIFA 14, they are a GOAT now. Like, Benzema loves him still. He still thinks Ronaldo is the best player in the world. I mean, who else? Dante. Do you know who Dante?
He played for Bayern.
Yeah, see? He knows who Dante is, but he wouldn't know who starts for Bayern now. Who else? Felipe Luis.
Felipe Luis.
No, he doesn't know. Obviously, he knows David Luiz.
He played left back, right?
Yeah, see, look, he just in FIFA 14 knowledge, he's there.
There we go.
FIFA 24 knowledge, 10 years later, he's not exactly there.
No.
But that's not the topic of conversation. But look, interesting, talking about the other games. Yeah, I think Arsenal are still to play. I think they're playing Palace. City look as dominant as ever, even though Newcastle look like they're on for a top 4. They have been really, really solid. Even though they lost to City today, I thought they competed with them. I didn't watch the game because I watched the United game and I'm not staying up till fucking 8 o'clock in the morning to watch football. Even though staying up till 2:30 in the morning to watch Man United was as painful as ever. So Newcastle look good, City look good, Liverpool look fucking... They've
won, didn't they?
Yeah, but they've had 2 dead easy fixtures, and they've been looking fucking shaky. They conceded the first goal today. They got a red today. They're looking shaky. But I think once they get midfield sort of reinforcements in there, they'll be okay. Yeah.
Arsenal look good as well.
Oh, I thought they were.
Rice.
I thought they looked better than they did in pre-season against us, but they still look dodgy. I think they're playing Forest and they barely scraped a win there. We'll see against Palace how well they do. But look,
Chelsea.
Chelsea, they look okay. Again, they played Liverpool, and I'm saying Liverpool had an easy fixture in the game week 1, but it was first game of the season, and Chelsea were in disarray last year. And
they got rid of most of their team, didn't they?
Yeah. So look, Chelsea. Well, I think it's game week 2. Look, after 2 weeks last season, Man United were getting relegated. So I think we need to have a bit more of a bigger sample size, maybe 6-7 games to see how people are performing. And oh God, I hope Rashford moves out to the wing. I can't watch him play striker again. It's shocking. Martial came on in the 81st minute. Like, what's even the fucking point, mate? What's even the point? We're down 2-0.
I don't know. And Rashford openly says he prefers to play on the wing.
He can't play striker. He can't. He's wandering out to friggin' left back when he's playing striker. There's no one up front. We whipping balls in, and Bruno's the only one in the box. It was embarrassing today, but look, you live and you learn, and I like Ten Hag a lot, but he needs to get away from his favourite. If Anthony keeps playing, he'll kill him. He sucks. I know he's a young winger. He's only 22 years old, but he is bad. Really, I don't even know.
Just got that Brazilian in him.
Well, the thing is,
brain explosion.
Every manager seems to think he's fucking he starts for the Brazilian team.
Yeah, that has interesting.
But he just I can't really fathom it really, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean other football news. Neymar's gone to Saudi now. The latest big name player to make the move. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it's weird because he should be in his prime still. He's only 31. He's obviously injured every year, but I think it's a bit of a loss. I mean,
mate, the amount of good solid players that have gone over there, Neymar was the least that I was like, oh my God. People are surprised by it. Not at all. I think his last couple of years in Paris Saint-Germain have been really disturbing and just annoying as a football fan. You want to see, Neymar be Neymar, but he's just freaking stuck there. I think he made the move trying to make a name for himself and trying to win the Champions League there, but it hasn't worked out. They've obviously got to a final of one, but it just hasn't worked out. And I think, it's been a bad move for him and his career. I think within 2 years of being at Paris Saint-Germain, he wanted to go back to Barcelona. I think it was always going to happen. There was no team that was really going to take a risk on Neymar with the salary that he was on and his injury history. No one in the Premier League, no one in, La Liga, no one in, Bundesliga was going to make that chance or going to take that chance. So him going to Saudi Arabia is not surprising whatsoever for me. But yeah, Mitrovic also just left to go to the same club today. 50 mil. So yeah, another good player leaving the Premier League. Look, I think it's going to happen. I think, these players that are always in it for money are going to go there. But I think, the top players won't go to Saudi Arabia. I think people are worried about that. I'm more worried about the fact that Saudi Arabia could try and fucking convince UEFA to get in the Champions League, which would be an absolute nightmare because it's the European competition. But yeah.
Have you seen his contract? He gets 500,000 every time he posts Saudi on his social media.
Mate, everyone's shocked at these numbers. They make fucking $2 billion a day, probably.
Yeah, but
they have so much fucking money.
A lot of money to.
It's not even
write
funny.
A little message on Instagram.
I know, but I think that's a bit over. I think that's probably a bit of an exaggeration. He probably has to make, or is he can only make one post a week or one post a fortnight or something like that. People are saying, mate, I'd make fucking 10 posts in a day and then just be set for life. But I didn't really look too into it because I'm not really interested in Saudi Arabian football. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, look, it's a loss for football. But I think his career was already on the downturn because of the injuries. I think the injuries have killed him. And yes, oh my God, what is PSG going to do without Neymar? Like, I'm not watching Ligue 1 either. Like, come on. I know you're a Frenchie, but not even you can watch that show.
Well, it is properly fucked now because PSG were the only team that people watched in that, and now they've lost Messi and Neymar. So, and Mbappe, who knows what's going to happen with him? So,
well, he's staying apparently. Like, God, that guy never. I mean, to be fair play to him to reject, the Saudi Arabian money, but my God, what is he doing? Like, he says he's unhappy and wants to leave every season, then he gets fucking guilted back in and he's signed another 3-year contract. It's bizarre.
Seen the memes of Real Madrid every transfer window, they're just knocking on the door and then like open with a massive bag, and then PSG just like close the door every year.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. There's just so much money and backroom politics involved. But yeah, I mean, even the fucking French president's getting involved. Like, it's probably he's in the fucking meetings just trying to convince. I mean, it's hard for the kid. I mean, he's a French guy who loves his country, he's represented his country, he's won World Cups with his country. And, like, everybody in that country is, like, begging him to stay. He can't, like, exactly leave. Like, it's...
Well, he can.
I think, well, he can, but, I mean, if we were in that position, if every single person in the country, including, like, the leaders that make, like, global decisions are, like, you're trying to be your best mates and trying to get you to stay, I think it's tough for him to leave, really. Especially if it's in the country you love. And it's like, yeah, you're a fan of Real Madrid when you were younger, but, like, you're now this age and you've got so many responsibilities. You're getting handed this and handed that. You're probably going to be prime minister or president or whatever of France. That's probably going to be the next contract offer on the table. So, yeah, I think it's a tough decision for him. So I think people aren't taking into account how much outside pressure there is because we're not in France. We don't know about the media. We don't know about the people there. So yeah, look, if he wants to be regarded as an all-time great, and he probably will be anyway because of how great of a player and how well he's done in international competitions. But if he wants to be recognised as an all-time great, he needs to move. He needs to go to a league that's going to really test him and showcase his talents on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I mean, true. I think he will move. If not this year, next year for sure. Another thing that's pissed me off in the world of football is the American uptake in following soccer, as they call it, with Messi. Like, have you seen all the like ESPN shows and all of them try to talk about it?
Oh God,
it
it's
is
embarrassing.
infuriating.
It's like, mate, it's just like, on my Twitter timeline, all I see, Messi scored his 6th straight goal in 5 straight. Like, it's the MLS. No one gives a crap apart from, and I guess obviously ESPN's an American company. But yeah, it's just, again, that's so much politics, and the amount of Apple TV is paying him. There's so many people that are invested in Messi doing well. Like, from a media standpoint, that it's like they have to. It's like he's an ambassador for them almost. They have to promote him. They have to get excitement. And you're like, mate, look, that may work in America, but no one gives a crap unless you're like a diehard Messi fan and one of those annoying fanboys that gets like tattoos of him and then is like, Messi's the best player in the world. That's your only conversation starter. Who do you think's the GOAT? Who do you think's the GOAT? Messi's my GOAT. Like, it's just those people. They're just not real football fans that don't follow a club.
Yeah, but the people that are talking about him on TV, they know nothing about the sport. Because I saw one guy who was like, because they were arguing, is Messi making the MLS look bad or is Messi just that good? Like, obviously the MLS is shit. But, and he was like, we have to remember, Messi has done this for years in the Premier League in England. And it's you fucking moron.
It's a joke.
You moron.
It's a joke. Look, Americans, they need to realise that unless they go through an unbelievable cultural change in their country to do in relating to sports, there is zero chance that the MLS will become anything of relevance. It is so irrelevant. It is so irrelevant in their own country. They probably care. You know that game where they hit the ball off like that mini, like a trampoline?
Pickleball.
Yeah. That is more popular in America than football. There are so many, like, lacrosse is more popular. Like, there are so many sports that Americans care about more because they invented it. They invented all these stupid sports, so they care about it more. It's just how it is. And I think the only reason why it's getting any traction, really, is the fact that basketball season isn't on and football season isn't on. So that's the only... They're like, oh, fuck, what are we talking about? Baseball? It's like, there's nothing really to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, Americans talking about football. What's new? I mean, it's pretty tough. But yeah, look, it is what it is.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about in
Well, we can talk about the World Cup, the women's.
Oh yeah, okay.
Women's World Cup.
Women's World Cup, obviously hosted in Australia.
England.
Yeah, but basically it's been a massive revelation in the country. I mean, the semi-final, the Australian semi-final against England was the most watched sporting event in Australian history, which is pretty crazy.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, it's been a massive achievement for the Matildas make a semi-final. That is the best any Australian team's ever done. And it's I guess put women's sport on the map in a sense.
Yeah.
So it's been cool to see. I think the main takeaway is that Australia should and is definitely capable of hosting these sorts of events. So
World Cup,
we should be
Men's
getting
World
a World
Cup.
Cup in the future.
Oh, that'd be. But look, I think the difference. People obviously would criticize our take on Americans just then about their sort of. Well, how can I say it? How their sort of. Hang on, this light's pissing me off. This sort of. Nope. Jesus Christ. There we go. Sorry about that. Brief intermission. Yeah, I think people will be sort of pissed on us about our American take. And the fact that we sort of have denigrated how Americans view football when Australia is not a great soccer nation. Or football nation.
Everybody cheered when the US women's team lost.
Yeah, but my greater point here is that the difference in why Australians can speak about this and Americans can't. One, we have a better footballing fan base in terms of, like, everybody you know is a fan of some football club, probably in the Premier League. But two, the way we support our national teams is so different to anything in any country, really. I think the support for the Matildas, I don't think it's based... I mean, look, if you watch the football, it's not fantastic football.
No, definitely not.
But it's how this country supports its national teams and how everyone's getting around it. Everyone wants to watch it. Everyone's caring about it. I was at an NRL game the other week, and the game was playing. The game was on, screen. But it was the Matildas game against France, and they had it on the TV screens inside the stadium. But obviously, the NRL game was on.
Yeah.
Nobody was watching the NRL game. Everyone was standing in the corridors in the stadium, just watching the Matildas because we're also invested in our national team because it's doing so well and we're so proud of them as a football. And look, I'm an English fan. I was happy when England won, but I mean, I thought it was a win-win because if Australia won, I'd get a public holiday. But I was happy that England won because I'm an England fan. But I think you've got to respect the amount of you just look into the crowd. I mean, would any other country get a C for a women's World Cup, match or a quarterfinal or semi-final? I mean, there's 70,000 people in there. Australians, green and gold. Would any other country do that? Not even England. Well, England wouldn't do that.
Yeah, well, like the World Cup has obviously been in other countries before this, and it's never been this big. So,
and I think it's to a props to Australians. And look, we're obviously a bit Australian, so we might be a bit biased, but I think I think it's a really good show of how well we support our national teams, and our national athletes. I think, obviously it was a great moment for Australian, sporting history, beating France in that quarterfinal. And look, they couldn't make it to the final and win it, but I think overall it was just it swept the nation. I don't think any other country really is talking about the Women's World Cup, but you wouldn't have a conversation with anyone in this country prior to the England game that wasn't involved in the Women's World Cup. Everything in the workplace, at home, when you're talking to your girlfriend or your friend, everything was about the Women's World Cup. So, look, I'm proud of them. I thought they obviously achieved a lot, and it's sad to see them out of the tournament. You want to see them sort of win it and do well, but look, I thought it was a great... So I don't think... Yeah, so my point is essentially great nod to the girls that played, but also a great nod to Australia as a country for getting behind them as well.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how the women's game can grow from here. Because I think everyone's in favour of the women's game growing. It's just doing it the right way, unlike the American women's team. Fuck them.
Oh, they're the most unlikable fucking pieces of shit you've ever seen.
Yeah, they're the reason people don't like women's sport, pretty much.
I wouldn't put it down to them.
Well, Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah, she's
the one.
Unbelievably annoying. But I think she's getting a bit too much hate. Like the fact that she smiled when she missed a penalty. like people have different reactions. Like smiling, if you know,
Yeah, obviously
fighting,
she wasn't happy about it.
yeah,
But
it's like obviously Oscars are big into fight. When a fighter smiles, they're fucked. Like they are like got rocked, or they're like, holy shit, I'm about to lose this, and it's just an involuntary reaction to try and hide it, an emotion that they're clearly feeling, you know, embarrassed or fucked or whatever. So I think people were going too into that, and look, people miss penalties, and people have skied penalties before. I'm not blaming her, but I think people went a bit too harsh on her for that. But I don't like her at all. She's very unlikable. But I think that in contrast, I think the Australian women's national team is very likable. And that maybe just speaking as an Australian, and most people don't like Americans, but I think that they came off selfless. They came off like they were so appreciative of this, you know, opportunity and to be playing in front of so many people. And it was a once in a lifetime experience for them that they'll never forget. And it was just refreshing to see.
I think, maybe like they can work on some crossing now. That's probably the thing to work on.
I think people, I think people are overly critical. Like they're never going to be as, you know, talented. But
no. But like, I think the crossing could use some work. Just from the hundreds of crosses we put in and 0 of them finding a target. But
I've watched Man United week in, week out. Trust me, it's a similar problem.
And also Ellie Carpenter for the second English goal. That was unfortunate to say the least.
That was a bit schoolboy.
But look, I mean, that's going to happen. The game's still growing. So, I mean, they showed a photo of 10 years ago where there was literally 0 people watching the game, and now they got 80,000. So, good on them. Good on Australia. Let's go.
Can you stop frigging going on your phone? We get it. You're Mr. Popular.
I'm looking at the next topic.
Okay. He's getting frigging bings like he's Bill Gates over here.
I don't have bloody... I forgot what I was saying. Tinder. No, I was going to say I can't remember what I wrote down.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Moving on. Another sport. NBA. America. Something that's actually good about America. NBA. Shannon Sharp has signed on
it's not
first
NBA
take.
just. I mean, it's more American sports.
Okay. Well, they're going to talk about NBA mostly.
Probably.
So he signed on for first take with Stephen A. I think this is what everyone kind of expected when he left Skip. But it's good. I mean, it'll be
I think it's only Monday, Tuesdays, which is a problem.
Only 2 days. Well, Stephen A. does like having his roster. He likes...
Yeah, he's got...
Because he's in control of the show. He chooses who comes on.
As soon as they fired Max Kellerman, he's like, mate, I'll pick who fucking comes on here.
So, and he likes rostering through people on a weekly basis.
But I think if he had him, if he had, you know, Shannon, obviously, and then if he had, you know, another sort of entertaining guest, not just a run-of-the-mill people you've never fucking seen in your life. I think it's a very good move for them. I think it'll bring in a lot of eyes. I think 2 very charismatic people talking about it. I don't think it's going to be as fantastic people seeing, because they're never going to... I think they're going to agree on a lot of things. I think, yes, obviously they're both loud and brazen, but the reason why Skip and Shannon and Skip and Stephen A. was so, you know, entertaining was because they had wildly different views on basically everything. And that was probably Skip's fault more than anything. I mean, he just has wild views. But yeah, I think it's a good move. It's obviously better than what they have now. Am I going to wake up early in the morning to watch First Take? No. But...
Who watches it live?
Probably people that live in America.
Yeah, but no one in Australia.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm not going to be like tuning in to watch the show. But look, it's more entertaining than what they've got. So fair play to them.
Yeah. Other news: 2K coming out. Well, I don't know, when is it coming out.
I don't even. It's usually around September, October time.
Yeah.
But yeah, my main thing is the ratings. Now, Austin Reeves is quickly becoming the most overrated player I've ever seen in my life. He's an 81 rated.
Good.
He's an 81 rated, but he's not 81 in real life. Like, he averaged 11 points.
You don't think he's 81? Bro, he averaged like 17 in the playoffs.
So, he averaged 17 in the... Wow, I'm sure you can pull up friggin'... You know, OG Anunoby's pulled up. So, look, I think he's 81 overall is a bit high, but I think, you know, the hype around him generally is a bit too much. I think over this offseason, because of obviously 2K's come out and he's got a lot of promo regarding it, and also the fact he's like regarded as one of the key players for the US national team, is farcical. I mean, I remember watching the 2012 or what is it, 2014? I can't remember, 2010 Olympics maybe, where
12.
No, I think it was Beijing, where it
8.
was. Yeah, probably that. I can't even remember, but it had LeBron, Wade, Kobe,
Yeah, it was 2008.
Melo. I'm watching friggin'
CP, Dwight.
Walker Kessler, Austin Reeves, Brandon Ingram. I mean, God Almighty! I mean, these guys are barely top 100 players.
Bobby Portis.
Bobby. The fact that Bobby Portis is in there is embarrassing. The guy is a bench player. I mean, do they not have national pride? Can they not find like an all-star? Like they can obviously find.
Well, there is no one on the roster that's made more than one all-star team.
That's probably it's probably sort of it's probably indicative of how or where the NBA is right now, of how money hungry it is. Basically, teams are probably telling players you don't play in it because if you get injured, that could hurt our season. Players are not playing in it because it could hurt their potential contracts. It's just ruining. I don't know. It's just there's no incentive for them because they don't have pride in playing for the US national team, which is crazy to me. Because every Australian, apart from Ben Simmons, every Australian wants to put on that green and gold jersey.
Even the ones that aren't really Australians, like Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah, they want to play for Australia, but I just can't even get it. How they don't even want to play for their national team. Like not even half decent players want to play for it.
Well, they more of them do it for the Olympics, because obviously that's more of a prestigious.
Not really.
Thing. Well,
a couple of them. I mean,
yeah, like KD, Lillard.
Yeah, like
some big players.
Like some of them, but I mean, this is the World Cup, and they're not even giving a rat's. I just don't understand. And I get, look, they've got a long seasons. They play 82 games. A lot of these stars. Well, actually, they probably rest a lot of them, but then they're going to have this new in-season tournament, which is interesting. But yeah, I just can't even sort of fathom how they just have no desire to play in a World Cup. And look, obviously, it's not the Football World Cup. It's not as big as most World Cups, but it's still a World Cup. And yeah, it's because the US doesn't care about it. It's because people in their own country don't even care about it. And I think it's just a different mentality in terms of representing a nation isn't important in the US as compared to most other places in the world. It's not a proud moment for an athlete to represent their country in the US. So
it's because they just think they're the best at everything. So
they genuinely think this crap US national team is like 100 times better than every other.
Well, it probably still will win.
It's still probably a favorite in my book, but I mean you've got Luka. I mean Luka is 100 times better than any other player in that US team. I mean he's a top 3 NBA player, top 5 NBA player. I mean Anthony Edwards is very good, but he's the best there. And he's a budding superstar, but he's not really an all-star star. He's not like a MVP candidate. He's a solid young star player. I can't say the same about, really anyone else. I mean, I just can't believe Bobby Portis and, Walker Kessler and those guys are getting minutes in a US national team. It's just beyond me, really. And in their second team, they got friggin' Langston Galloway. Not even the bench players in the NBA will want to play on there. But yeah, I think they could give it. I think obviously Luka could give them problems.
Is Giannis playing?
I'd assume so. I haven't looked into it yet. But yeah, I think he'll be interesting. Yeah. But talking about a World Cup, actually, sort of segueing on. Is there more NBA stuff you want to talk about?
Not really. It was just 2K ratings, but if that's all good.
Well, yeah, I'll quickly do that. Kobe, 100 rated. Look, I like him, but and I obviously get it's sentimental, but come on, he's not even a top 5 player in NBA history. I mean, the fact that we're doing this,
but it's not a natural rating of 100. It is just a sentimental thing.
Yeah, but it's also like
no one actually thinks he's 100 rated.
Well, look, I don't care enough about it, but still, he's not the best player in NBA history, which everyone seems to think he is. Look, I'm not going to hate on him, but yeah, it's just, yeah, I can't believe he's the first 100 rated player ever. Like, how is that not Jordan or LeBron? How is that not?
I don't know, mate.
But yeah, talking about World Cups, I thought we should segue. Rugby World Cup, we didn't sort of mention it pre-show, but yeah, very interesting. Coming up in, 2 weeks? Something like that.
Australia's left some notable people out.
Yeah, so, some notable historical, that probably and probably I know. I mean, we don't watch rugby, but, I mean, we know these players. So, because they were, good in 2010, 2011. So, but look, I think...
Are you going to name them?
Well, I mean... well, look, I'm not going to lie.
They left out Quade Cooper and Michael Hooper.
Yeah, I was thinking of Hooper.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cooper and Hooper. But yeah, look, I mean, you recognise those guys. Obviously, Quade Cooper. Our mate is obsessed with frigging Quade Cooper. I've never heard so many... Like a guy love another guy that much. I mean, his steps obviously good, and Hooper's obviously was an Australian captain, and he's been left out, even though he's still, arguably one of the best rugby forwards in the world. I think he had a bit of an injury thing. I'm not too keen on it, so I'm not too in the loop. But yeah, essentially, Rugby World Cup, Australia not looking good, even from an Australian perspective, or a person that used to watch Australian rugby and hears a bit about Australian rugby, not looking great. Obviously, New Zealand are favourites, as per. South Africa and Ireland. It's a bit weird how Ireland
and
is...
France. I think France are up there.
France are up there as well. So, yeah, Australia looking dodge.
I think we're 8th in the world, which is
crazy
the
to
lowest we've ever been.
I think we haven't won a Bledisloe Cup in like 20 years.
Yeah.
Or something ridiculous like that. Yeah, it's crazy to me. I mean, look... We're obviously not rugby fans anymore. But growing up, everything was about rugby. I mean, you watched the Bledisloe Cup, sorry. Everyone, I mean, obviously it's a bit silly. People think, NRL players going over to rugby union. It's like, it's crazy. Why would you even do that? And young fans nowadays are like, what? The NRL is more popular in Australia. But probably back when...
Wallabies was the most prestigious.
Yeah, but back when they were kids, that was the most prestigious thing in the world, to play for the Wallabies. That was it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that... Obviously, I think it'd be better for Australian rugby and really good if they won the World Cup, but I don't think that's likely.
They lost all of their previous games.
Well, look, the problem with Australian rugby is that a better product took all their talent. I mean... I watched a podcast with Aaron Smith, who's the number 9 for New Zealand, and he listed like 7 NRL players that he think would be gun friggin' rugby union players. The reason is because all of them started in rugby union, were like schoolboys, Australian schoolboys, and then just went to rugby league because 1, it's more convenient, 1, it's a bigger sport, 2, it's a bigger sport, and 3, there's more guaranteed money on the table for those players. So it's a better pathway to professional sport, better facility. I think it's just the rugby league has taken over. Especially, look, obviously not in Melbourne, obviously not in South Australia or wherever, or Western Australia, but in New South Wales and Queensland there's one rugby, and that's rugby league, and it's unfortunate for rugby union how they've lost all these players. And look, they're trying to buy them back, but I think they're losing all these young pathway kids. And look, I think Australia will always get around their national team, and it helps if Australia's top 3 in the world like we're used to. But yeah,
the problem is the club system for rugby union is just so fucked right now.
Yeah,
like I think they're even talking potentially like disbanding the Australian teams because they're just that shit. And just doing some other system altogether, because there used to be a bunch of Australian teams. I think there's only 3 left now in the Super Rugby, and the Australian team hasn't won since the Waratahs like 8 years ago. And it's like there's no money here. Like if you want money, you have to go to France or you have to go to England.
Well, I think that was always a thing, though. I think France was always sort of a...
Yeah, but the club game was strong in Australia, and now
that's true. Yeah.
It's just shit.
Yeah, it is dire. Have you ever heard in the past 3 years any media about a rugby union club team?
No.
Have you heard anything?
No.
Have you heard anything about the Reds? I mean, the Queens... that's all that you heard growing up with the Reds and the Waratahs and the Brumbies. That's all you heard. I have not heard a lick about them for years. And, yeah, it's just sad that, obviously... there's different sports in Australia now. It's not just rugby union like it was back in the day. It was just rugby union and cricket. That's all Australians cared about. But now it's obviously expanded to obviously rugby league's a lot bigger now. Basketball's massive in Australia. I mean, football's massive in Australia. So I think people are just following different sports, and rugby union's sort of been kicked to the wayside a bit, Which is, unfortunate for rugby union.
But it just is like you compare it, well, rugby league's like the main competitor. It's just not as entertaining to watch. There's just so many stoppages. And
it's a kicking contest.
And nobody really understands the rules. Like, the ruck is so complicated. The ref will just, like, decide to blow a penalty or something, and you'll go, oh, okay, yeah, I don't really know why that's happened, but I guess so. And it's just hard to follow.
Well, I think those rules have always been... It's always been a lot more sort of gone by the wind sort of ruling. It's more like the ref on the field.
Yeah, but now it's like any sort of high contact, you're off.
Yeah.
Like, even worse than the NRL.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, that is bad. But I don't think it's the game that's the problem. I just think that it just lost its way. Australian rugby just lost its way. And other countries have, skyrocketed through the roof. I mean, Ireland, when we were growing up, were shocking. I mean, they wouldn't get... In the British and Irish Lions, they'd probably have 2 or 3 players in there. Now it's probably going to be half the team are Irish. So, yeah.
The Irish are back.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously... They're a lot better. And Six Nations is massive in Europe. New Zealand obviously will always be good at rugby union. South Africa are always going to be good at rugby union. But yeah, I think that it's shocking that they're like the worst country in the Super Rugby. Like, how is that even possible? Like,
well, all the other countries have left. Like South Africa, I think have left.
Yeah.
Japan.
Well, yeah, that's also it was a shocking competition. So I think the idea itself is a bit backwards, but yeah, it's just sad how rugby union's gotten. But look, we're going to support them. I'm sure if they get to the semis, everyone will care. Well,
that's the one thing. They have a very favourable draw. Like, all the good teams, pretty much, they won't meet until the semis. Okay. So they have that going for them.
So yeah, look, I'm sure this is what rugby union's preying on. They're like, God, if we can somehow just win the World Cup, rugby union will be back in Australia, which probably could be true, but I think it's very unlikely.
It is very unlikely. I mean, we lost to New Zealand's literal B team. Like, it was literally their entire B team, and we lost. And we lost to Argentina, and we got fucked by South Africa, and we got fucked by New Zealand's A team. So,
not great.
We haven't won a game in what feels like a year, so I don't know. We'll see how we go. Hopefully, I think we have some beaters in the group stage, so hopefully we can get some form destroying them.
Yeah.
And then who knows, but
we'll see.
It's not looking good.
Not looking good, bruv.
Obviously, we were talking about NRL. We can talk about where the season's at the moment. Obviously, 2 rounds left. It's getting to that climactic point of the year.
Yeah.
Finals, the race is on. We know... Well, we don't know all the teams. We know the top 4 teams, essentially, who they're going to be.
The Sharks have made it as well.
So they're locked in. And then, but yeah, obviously the main talking point right now is the race for the bottom few spots in the 8. There's 3 spots available, essentially. Raiders are not by any means secure. Rabbitohs are not by any means secure. Who else? Knights are nowhere near secure. And then you got the Cowboys, Roosters on the outside looking in, really sort of pushing. Parramatta, I think, no, they're done.
They're definitely done. So I think
That's
it's just...
grand final to missing the 8. How not to run a club?
Well, I think they're very unfortunate. I think...
Well, they chose to not re-sign their best players. So...
Who's that? Who's in there?
Reid Marnie and Papali'i.
Yeah. Well, I think Reid Marnie's a bigger one out of the 2 because they got Bryce Cartwright.
Yeah, but Papali'i was Dally M back rower last year.
Well, I think they did pretty well in terms of replacing him, but they just didn't replace the number 9. I think... Look, the main problem with them is just been an absolute roller coaster of a season. Obviously, with Dylan Brown controversy, they've had just obviously Mitchell Mose got injured. Everything has seemed. I mean, I was something got brought to my. They were talking about this on. I don't know if it was NRL 360 or whatever, but obviously at the start of the season they had it shocking because remember Ryan Madison chose to take the suspension instead of the fine, and he missed the first couple games of the season, which just starts you off to the worst possible start. I mean, who does that? Nobody does that. And it just, from the get-go, it's just been a roller coaster. And look, I'm not completely losing faith in the Eels in terms of over the long term because they still have a solid nucleus there. And they're in the grand final. So, not too long ago. So, I think it's just one of those seasons. Clubs can have one of those seasons. And obviously, Penrith don't have one of those seasons.
They don't.
But like, I knew that was the next comment out of his mouth. But clubs can have one of these seasons. Just everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for the Eels. Well, look, I think they could definitely bounce back next year. Look, I don't think they're probably going to be contending, but they'll definitely probably be in the 8, I'd imagine, next year. But yeah, it's interesting. It's really, really interesting, the sort of last final weeks. The Roosters obviously picked up form, so they're right back in the race just when you thought they were out. Then you got the Cowboys who are winning one game, losing another, so they're sort of looking dodgy. The Knights have looked really, really... I think they've won 6 in a row or something like that. But they
they were so shit. They still are shit in my opinion. I don't know how they're winning.
But they're just winning, and they're just sort of pushing themselves into the 8 when really they had no business being in there at the midway point through the season. And then Canberra, I mean, their points difference is so bad. Even though they're on 30 points, they could definitely be caught up. I mean, they
were like locked in top 4 or 5 weeks ago, and now they're just sliding. And
it's really say if the Roosters have got bad points difference, but if Canberra lose next week and the Roosters win, the Roosters are ahead of them. So it's just, I think they're sliding in their points difference because it's so tight and so many teams. It could be a killer. And look, I think the Rabbits, they've obviously got a bye, which is 2 points. So I think they're probably going to be in there. You'd imagine
if they win today, they'll be in.
Well, yeah, if they win today, they'll be in. So I think it's an interesting one. Obviously, you hope the Roosters get in because I'm a Roosters fan, but it is what it is. And I think it's going to be a close one, but it's going to be neck and neck. And this is what you want. You want top 8 at the end of the season. You don't want it to be basically locked in and no one's playing for anything in the last round. You want good clubs playing and big clubs. Big reputable clubs keep on playing during the final weeks of the season. And that's obviously what's going to happen for the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, they are all playing for 8th spot to probably lose in the first round.
Well, it's not even 8th spot. They're playing for 6th. I mean,
but none of them are going to really challenge for the premiership. I think it's really a race into. In all honesty,
well, you think it's Penrith and Broncos are locked in?
Yes.
Well, look, I tend to agree that they're definitely, in there. But, anything can happen. I mean, we've watched NBA for too long to know that, 8 seeds can upset 1 seeds, 7 seeds can upset 2 seeds. It happens.
But no one in the NRL outside the top 4 has ever won.
Is that true?
Yeah.
No one outside the top 4 in the history of the NRL has ever won?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well...
Because the Cowboys made the grand final.
No one came back from 3-1 in the finals until LeBron did it. So
yeah,
there you go. Look, it's obviously I think the goal of these teams in the sort of that are fighting for the top 8, they've had up and down years. A lot of them, basically all of them had up and down years. And making the 8's an achievement, and trying to get as far as you can, just to try and rescue and make it a half decent season is worth it. So, look, obviously Penrith are miles ahead at the moment. Penrith and the Broncos are miles ahead. But, I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors did a shocker. Especially, I don't know. They're talking about moving it out of New Zealand, though.
What, the final?
Yeah, because they'll get a home final. Would they get a home final?
They could. If they lose week 1, they'll get a home final week 2.
If they lose game week 1, they're talking about moving it out of New Zealand, which is crazy to me. But yeah, I think New Zealand are definitely could give them a run for the money. They've been really solid this year. Sean Johnson, historically in big games, has performed. I think he's a big game player, especially for New Zealand.
He's people saying he's favourite for the Dally M this year, which is crazy considering he was almost retired at the end of last year. Like that was his worst season of his career, and now he's going to win the Dally M potentially. So great turnaround from him. He does often do this, though, on his contract years, I've noticed. Like his last year with the Sharks, he fucking killed it.
Well, I think everyone does this on their contract years. Yeah. I think everyone just puts in a bit more to try and get a new contract. But I think it's just because he's back home. I think
he was home last year.
Well, I think he's also got a really good team around him and a really good coach around him. So I think that helps.
Yeah. I mean, if you've come from the Panthers, you're going to be
Charles Nickel-Close, not Charles Nickel-Close, sorry, with Tenny Zalesniak. That guy. I mean, I thought he was like bargain bin winger. Really, just
He's not even that old.
but he's like an unbelievable player. I've never seen a physical. It's like I'm watching friggin' LeBron James for the first
he
time.
just sprints at you.
Like he's so strong and powerful, but also so skillful at the same time.
Dallin, the winger,
Yeah,
skillful.
yeah. The passes he does, he's the tries that he can pull off. He's a
He played for us when I
Yeah.
started watching in Penrith. Like, he's been around for time, and he used to be basically Sean Kenny Dow. Like, he would run really hard, he'd
Yeah.
have an athletic put down, but he has an error in him. So I haven't been watching the Warriors that closely, but if he's got rid of the errors, I guess, and he's doing flick
well,
passes
he's
and shit,
probably
then-
winger of the. He's up there for winger of the year. I mean, I don't know who would be better than him in terms of.
Well, Todd is clearly the best winger.
Well, he's the best winger, but in terms of performance for this year, I think he'd definitely be top 3 in there.
They do it off Dally M votes, so
Um,
depends if you got any.
Well, yeah, because Sean Johnson's just always hogging the Dally M points. But look, I think it's going to be interesting. I think obviously a lot of people are predicting, look, it's going to be Penrith Broncos grand final. But look, you never know what could happen.
Yeah, look, I'm not adverse to playing another team in the GF. I'm happy to beat on anyone.
There we go.
Look, the three-peat is incoming. There's no two ways about it. And when it does happen, it will be glorious.
It'll be glorious.
The greatest team of all time will be cemented in the history books. I don't want to hear no more back-to-back Roosters chat after this.
Okay. All I'm saying is the back-to-back Roosters team
on
paper was a better team.
On paper. Lucky games aren't played on paper.
But yeah, anyway, look, interesting final weeks. Hopefully it'll turn out well for the Roosters.
Yes, we shall see. This last little thing, UFC at the moment. I don't know what fucking number it is. Hard to keep up with the numbers, but UFC is going on today. It's actually the main card is going to start in about half an hour here.
Oh,
so Sean O'Malley, Aljamain Sterling is the main event. Bantamweight title, reasonably big fight.
pretty weird.
It's a pretty good card as well. We can quickly run through the card. Opening it is Cheeto Vera versus Pedro Munoz. Did you know them?
Nope.
You don't know them?
I think I've heard of Cheeto.
He's pretty good. He's beat O'Malley.
Yeah, I think I've heard of him.
Yeah. And Pedro Munoz, he's literally fought like all the good bantamweights and lost pretty much.
Mate, if you think I'm watching bantamweights on a Sunday Arvo every
brother.
single day, you got another thing coming.
Okay, well, that's a cool fight. A lot of people are picking Pedro because Cheeto's a little bit overrated, even though everyone loves him and thinks he's really good. So that'll be cool. They're both good strikers. That'll be a sick fight. Next fight. Oh, also Chris Weidman's back on this card. I don't know what the fuck he's doing fighting again, but he will maybe die. It's sad.
Probably.
Sad to say. The main guy I'm excited to see on this card is Ian Gary.
He's getting a lot of hype.
Like in the press conference, he was fucking talking shit. He was going hard. Everyone's saying, oh, he's copying Connor. I mean, they're both Irish. They sound the exact same.
I don't think he's copying Connor.
He's not copying, but he's got it though. Like what he's saying on the mic, he speaks really well. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm with you, bro. We could go all the way together.
As entertaining as Connor though.
He's close. He's fucking good. Maybe not quite as entertaining, but he's good. And he's super young. He's only 25. And if he knocks out Neil Magny, which he probably will, because Neil Magny's basically a punching bag for anyone that's good at fighting, he'll be in the top 10 and he'll be fucking right there. So pumped to see that. And if he makes a good call out on the mic after, you never know. He could be fighting for a belt next year, which would be fucking meteoric because he looked kind of shit in his second fight in the UFC, and since then he's just been fucking killing it. So
fair play to the kid.
He's good. Co-main event, Zhang Wei Li defending her title against Amanda Lemos. You probably know who she is.
I know who Zhang Wei Li is. I don't know who Lemons is, but
Lemons. No, Lemons is probably going to lose. Hopefully.
Well, yeah. Look, I mean, it's a decent card, but yeah. I mean, the only interesting ones are in Gary and Sean O'Malley. In my opinion, I'm a casual. He's the expert. In a casual's point of view, do I really give a fuck about half of those fights? No.
Well, main event. Who do you think's going to win?
Look, you want Sean O'Malley to win because you want entertainers to be, winning these belts and sort of performing. But it's up to I don't know enough. I haven't studied enough I haven't watched enough of either one of their fights really to be like, oh, this guy's going to win. But as a neutral, you're hoping that Sean O'Malley wins, and you're hoping Ian Gary wins. You just want people that are charismatic to win. I mean, that's what Dana wants anyway.
Dana, yeah. I mean,
by the way, have you been watching The Ultimate Fighter?
No.
God, do they ever... we mentioned it about the first episode. We do not give a fuck about these bums that are getting all this hype. Oh, the other... You know the guy with the glasses that's on Connor's team now? Like the blonde guy.
Yeah.
He was caught... They did like a 10-minute segment of him calling his girlfriend like, I'm doing this for you, babe. I'm like, I do not give a fuck. Just show me Conor McGregor. Like, that's all I'm here for. Show me Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. Show him like roasting him. Put them in a room together.
Would you see the
fights and just talking shit to each other? I do not care about this guy who's 35 years old that's been called a rookie, and he's getting, talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime for 10 minutes on the show.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, and someone asked Dana at the press conference, like, how would you assess this season of The Ultimate Fighter? And he was like, yeah, it was pretty good. And that's all he had to say. So it was clearly not as good as they hoped. But did you see the coach's challenge?
Yeah,
and Dana had like
Dana had like
half an hour. Yeah, he was like, whoever did that is fucking stupid.
Look, that's like the only thing you hear about in the media is that when Conor McGregor's actually doing a segment.
Yeah,
like nothing else. And get it through your heads. No one cares about.
But they asked Chandler what round Khabib submitted him in the trivia, which was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. He's like, "What? Don't ask that.
How did that get in there?" But yeah, that was funny. So, the show's over now. So the finale is on this card. They're fighting for
Mr. Nobody 38-year-old versus Mr. Nobody 35-year-old is fighting.
Yeah, so they're fighting for a spot in the UFC, I guess.
Yeah.
Which they'll get cut 3 fights later, probably.
Yeah.
But, Ultimate Fighter, it's probably dead. Time for something new.
If it's dead when Conor McGregor's on your show, it's a fucking dead show. Like, you need I get it, it saved your company, but you need to call it quits.
I think if Colby Covington's the only guy that can save it.
No, but they'll do the same thing. They'll fucking show some bum that's 33 years old talking to his wife and his wife and kids.
But I think Conor didn't really do the show. Like, he was never really there to film, or he wasn't doing much, so they couldn't put him in the show that much because he wasn't really doing anything.
No, I just think.
But I think Colby would be there. Yeah, it's probably a bit of both. Speaking of Conor, his training partner Dillon Danis is announced to be fighting Logan Paul. We'll see if they actually fight. I mean,
he has apparently a stupid pull-out clause.
Yeah, he has a pull-out clause, but he hasn't fought in 4 years, so we'll see. But yes, the main story of this fight is the Twitter tirade Dillon Danis has gone on, attacking Logan Paul's now fiance. I've forgotten her name, but she's quite a well-known model, I think. And
yeah, she's well known.
She's well known by a lot of people, and he's basically posted what seems like hundreds of photos of her with different men over the years.
Well, look, people are allowed to be in relationships, but the amount of fucking I get she was a model, and half of them are not of her in a relationship; they're just of her doing modeling pics with other models or guy models. But when you've had a lot of public boyfriends. It's just, I'm not shaming her or anything. It's just and if it was I think the context of how he's doing it is just funny, and how Logan Paul is just getting so much shit. He has to turn off his Twitter comments.
Well, apparently they were told Dillon, you got to chill out or we're going to pull a fight, which would be the most bitchy thing I've ever seen in my life.
That would you're doing exactly what he wants. That's the biggest win ever. He stays relevant and he doesn't have to fight. That would be a stupid thing to do. But yeah, I think it's interesting how much every photo that he posts is 20k likes, 25. It's not he's posting once a day. He's posting every 20, 30 minutes. Yeah. He's getting 20k likes.
You see the photo of him he's stepping into my office and he's just holding 3 different phones all searching for photos and shit. Oh my God.
It's funny. But yeah, I think it's a bit I think a lot of celebrity couples, or a lot of couples have this dynamic, and I think
it's just never been exposed this.
It's just never been this much. Like, because usually in like your mate's relationship or whatever, you don't have photos of the chick. Because it's they're both very public people. Like, she has public photos of her with like every boyfriend she's ever had. So it's a bit like, it's a bit more, especially when someone else brings it to light. And it's just, I think for fighting promotion, this kind of thing works.
You think it works?
Yeah, I think like when Conor McGregor, when Conor McGregor did this sort of thing, it worked. And I think, yeah, in fighting promotion, when you expose the private life of the other fighter, it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I think that this is the first time people are starting to actually like Dillon Danis, because he has basically been the most hated fighter personality in the history of fighter personalities up until this point, because of just the random shit he talks without ever fighting anyone. But now people are like, just because it's funny, people are starting to like him. And some people have said it's the first ever 10-6 in fighting, which is rare, you know. You see 10-9's very common, 10-8's, that's somewhat common. Ariel Helwani likes to think he's the main guy that
was
gives out
funny
10-7's.
when Dillon Danis was on Ariel Helwani's show, and he was like talking about Dana White and, you know, his beef with Dana and Brock Lesnar and all that. I thought that was very funny from Dillon, but I think it was ages ago.
Yeah. And yeah, Ariel hates him now. So look, we'll see. If I think there's a press conference happening in a few days, actually, which will be very interesting to see, because it will have Jake and KSI and Tommy Fury will be there as well, obviously, because it's on the same card.
It's on the same card.
Yeah.
Holy shit, they'll get a lot of pay-per-views.
Yeah. Well, that's the idea. So
Jesus. I thought they were just separate. Fuck.
That's the Prime card.
Damn, okay.
Yeah. So, and now Jake Paul and Logan Paul hate each other as well. So I don't know if you saw that, but they dislike. Basically, Jake didn't let Logan bring a bottle of Prime into the Nate Diaz fight because Jake's sponsored by a different drinks company.
Okay.
So he was like, "Don't bring in Prime," and Logan fucking got really pissed off.
I thought that was a joke.
Huh?
I thought that was just like a joke on a podcast.
Nah, it was real.
Oh, so they genuinely don't like each other because of Prime.
Yeah, yeah, and because Jake's like, "Why the fuck you mates with KSI? I hate that cunt."
Yeah,
So,
I get that. That's more of like a reasonable fucking thing to be. And like, mate, I've had like this beef with this guy for fucking 5 years, and you've just made a company with him and best mates. Yeah, I get that, but I mean, fucking the business they're in. I mean, they just fucking take any money they can. So it's not really surprising that fucking Logan Paul and I think it was a good business opportunity for both. I mean, the fact that they both had beef with each other, and then they created this sort of reminisced and, you know, came together and made this company that is, even though the drink is shocking, is somehow, you know,
no one talks about that. But it is fucking disgusting.
it's awful. Everything tastes like medicine. It's awful.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Sorry
really get it.
if you know, if Prime wants to fucking sponsor us, I'll say whatever you want, mate. But you know, it's
I can't be bought like that. I
can,
morals.
mate. Trust me, I can be bought.
I'll give an honest opinion, but
yeah, I just think it's shit. And then they've got, you know, but their promotion for it, how they've marketed it, how everyone's paying so much money for it. I mean, you go to a supermarket in Australia and it's sold out. Even though Powerade and Gatorade are much better alternatives.
much better, flavoursome, healthy.
Well, they're not healthy, but like they taste like half decent.
Yeah. So
And Prime doesn't even look like a sports drink. Let's be real. It looks like, you know, it's just a sugary like soft drink, or just like a shitty drink. Like Powerade puts on. I mean, I'm not a Powerade spokesman, but like, come on, it looks like a fucking sports drink. I mean, Prime looks like a bowl of juice.
Jeez. But they're sponsoring everyone. They're just sponsored by and sponsoring Barcelona, Arsenal.
Yeah, they're very popular, but
So,
it's just a shit
but
drink.
do you reckon the players actually drink it?
No way.
But surely they'd be forced to, because it's the sponsor.
They'd probably be like, no, there's no way. I've never seen any player drink Prime. Has anyone?
True, and even like they sponsor the UFC as well. They don't have Prime bottles on the stand.
Yeah, no one drinks it. Like, you see, when the Body Armor used to sponsor the UFC, everyone had fucking Body Armor there. Dana drank, like...
Well, that
no
was
one's
just water, so...
Yeah, but still, no one's promoting Prime on like the professional level. I think they just like pay these clubs like 20 grand to say that they sponsor.
Like, because they sponsored Volk and Izzy as like prime athletes, and even them, like, you see them holding the bottles, obviously, but then you don't never see them drinking it.
Yeah. Like, mate, this tastes like shit. Why would we drink this on a regular? Yeah, can you just like drink this out and about when you're
give me
out?
my check. I'll take your photos.
Yeah, mate. I'd rather not. But yeah, like, they're very smart with it. It's a bit shit.
Bit shit. Yeah. All right. Well, anything else you wanted to cover?
No, not really. Look, I think it'll be interesting to see how the next couple of weeks pan out. Obviously, Rugby World Cup, Premier League's going to kick off some more, and then you'll have, obviously the UFC fights. You'll have, a bunch of different stuff. Obviously, the Women's World Cup is on tonight. Final. England versus España.
Hopefully Spain can win.
Hopefully
we didn't talk
England
about that,
can
but
win.
the tactics England employed in the Australian game, that was pathetic.
What?
The time wasting, the fouling.
That's every fucking game of
No,
football.
that was to the extreme.
Was it?
Yeah, I don't want to hear no more spirit of sport again from an English person.
Oh, that was funny. Mate, Thursday morning going to work.
When
Just wore an England shirt.
one of the players, when the Aussie keeper was trying to take a goal kick, she literally just grabbed another ball and started dribbling it back onto the field. That was despicable. She should have been red carded there and then.
Yeah, well, the spirit of the game. In work all week, I was talking about how this was the 6th Ashes test. We won the Ashes. This was the decider. Obviously, we won it in the spirit of the game, but the 6th, this sort of Australia versus England, this really topped it off to prove England's a better sporting nation. So, I don't make the rules.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a sport that you've got a lot more invested in than we do.
Not women's wise.
Australia, you just won the Euros.
Australia were like top 5 in the world for the past
No, we were 10th.
Well, I mean, you were still a fucking really good women's footballing nation. You have the best player in the world.
We weren't expected to make
You have probably
the
one of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
No, you have a good team. Like, it's not like you're friggin' the Australians men's team, which making to the knockouts is like, winning the lottery. I think that you've got a team that probably should be in the quarterfinals, semi-finals. So it's not like I think it's just
quarters maybe.
I think it's just
semis.
One team is just better as a sporting nation, and the other one isn't. And the one that was better as a sporting nation came up on top. So I don't make the rules. But up the Tillies. Good on you. Good effort.
Up the fucking Tillies.
You made a good effort, and you managed to lose, but you win or you learn, and obviously you got to do some learning. But in the cricket sphere as well, you've got to do some learning in how to not cheat and stuff like that. But you learn that. You learn that in life.
Retain. That's the name of the game.
Retain. Oh, that's all I hear. As soon as I make the argument, it's like, well, who retained the Ashes? Like, what other sport
who
do talk like that? Who talks like, mate, we didn't lose, so we actually won?
Well,
That's not how it works.
Essentially.
No, you drew, and you were lucky to draw. So that's it at the end of the day. Look, thank you for listening. We could do this for fucking hours. Thank you for listening. Go follow us on all platforms and like the video, subscribe, and we'll be back soon to chat about Man United losing again, I'm sure.
Yep.
Any final comments, my dear?
Nah, make sure to like everybody, subscribe. Really helps us out in the algorithm on this journey that is...
We're making money. Making big money.
I think we got like 10 cents last week.
Solid.
Pretty good.
Solid.
I'm joking. We need 1,000 subscribers to make money, so slightly off that.
Just slightly. I don't know what you're talking about.
Peace.